Okay, thank you. So you're welcome to Sambos Geospatial, and at Sambos, we are an application development firm that integrates technologies and provide range of geospatial solutions. At Sambos, we provide geospatial solutions. We assist, we help in creating solutions that, like for environmental management and every other industry needed solutions. We are also sole distributors of Esri, uh, which produces the application and GIS. So distributors were also distributors of Envy Trimble with exclusive representation in Ghana, Nigeria, Gambia, Gabon, and Liberia. And for Nigeria is where at Sambos Nigeria, Geospatial Nigeria is where this webinar is taking place. So I'll just also go through our agenda. For today. So on the agenda, we'll be going through what is GIS, our environment, consequences of unhealthy environment, the new reality, please can we mute ourselves, please, so that every other person can hear? Can we all mute ourselves? Thank you so much. And common challenges. And so at this moment, I would like to introduce my colleagues. They'll be introduced as sustainability. I'll be introducing my colleagues that will be taking us through the webinar. So, but before I introduce them, let us have this poll. A poll will be presented now. Please would like us to fill out this poll. So hope we can all see the poll. The poll is live. Please let's do well to just share our views and put in our thoughts about this poll. Thank you. Okay, thank you everyone for attending to our poll. You can still continue to attend to the poll while the webinar is going on. And so we'll be taking questions immediately after this webinar. So I'd like to present Mr. Olumide to please introduce himself and begin the webinar. Thank you. Mr. Olumide, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Good afternoon. Can you hear me? Yes, good afternoon, everyone. So, it's nice having you again for another webinar. And it's great to have you guys here. Thank you for joining us today. So we've learned about the agenda for today and what we have actually for today, which involve what is GIS, what is environment, consequences of unhealthy environment, the reality, challenges, sustainability, and the approach, and to show some solutions. So I'll be presenting today for a few minutes. My colleague, Inyolu Ojumu, will be taking the demonstration for us today. So what is GIS? I know a lot of persons know about GIS. So it's not really a new thing, but I just want us to get a few things. So it helps to organize. It's actually a system that helps us to organize, communicate, and understand the science of our world. So before information can happen, geographic information system, there has to be a form of data collection. Also, when this data is collected, there's an analysis. We carry out analysis on that. And we have so many visualization maps with layouts and a lot of information for decision makers to be able to make use of. And there are a lot of applications with this system. So looking at environment, a lot of things actually make up the environment. So the environment in itself is our surrounding, which affects our growth in terms of looking at the health of the environment, our own health. So it affects a lot of things. It's everything that surrounds us. So when we say environmental in itself, is actually the natural world. And when we talk about environmental management, we are talking about protecting the habitat where we stay as humans, controlling the hazards in our environment, looking at the pollution, trying to control everything to make sure that we have a sustainable, an environment that we are all proud of. So what we look at is that we want to have a safe water system in the environment, in different places in our habitats. We have clean land in terms of our biodiversity. We want to breathe in fresh air. We want to have a fresh air, and we want to have a system whereby it's not polluted. So I would like to look at some figures, some statistics for Nigeria. For air pollution, it is second only to HIV or AIDS in terms of the impact on life expectancy in Nigeria. That's a report from the University of Chicago. Also, 104,000 persons have died of air pollution in Nigeria. That's as at the release figure for 2017 report of HEI and IHME update estimate, which is actually top when you look at the 54 countries in Africa. So pollution is an area which is very important to also talk about in terms of the environment. So annually, we have 5.96 million tons of plastic waste that has worsened this our environment. It has threatened us a lot. This is a report from Punch. Also, we have been identified as Nigeria as the 7th largest country in the world generating plastic waste. This is 5.96 million tons of plastic waste every year, according to the report from World Population Review of 2021. So when we look at what is, I've talked about a good system in the environment. We can also look at unhealthy environment. What are those things that are affecting us actually? What are those things that are affecting the system? So a lot of pollutants here and there, such as carbon dioxide, volatile organic compounds, and a lot of chemicals affecting the environment. This has affected us in the fact that we can see a lot of chronic illness, increasing chronic illness in the environment, heart diseases, cancer, lung diseases, and the rest. So it's very important to have a working environment, but these consequences is something that we need to really look at. There are also other issues too in terms of heart diseases, kidney failure, vision loss due to hypertension, because the environment is not working. And also we have climate change causing a lot of issues in the environment. It has affected and lead to a lot of deaths per year, yearly, every month. You have issues relating to climate change, issues such as malnutrition, malaria, heat stress, and the likes. So now we need to have an environment that is combined with the people in this our environment. So environment and the people is stationed by these two terminologies is being mixed in a way that we have a sustainable earth, we have a sustainable place in Africa, in Nigeria, even in all parts of the world. which is an area in which each government has been able to find one thing or the other, and also those that have not really done too much are actually finding a way to actually set this environment because it affects everything. It's a very important area when it comes to our economy because they are intertwined. Environment and the well-being of people is very important to look at this area. So what is the reality that we have now? There are a lot of realities. So we need to start looking at curbing bush burning. A lot of bush burning that's taking place, deforestation, flooding. These are issues that are caused by man itself. You see a lot of waste being dumped, filling up our drainage system, leading to flooding. And even this time around, a lot of flooding is happening in different parts, especially in Nigeria. So this reality is at a cost. This our bush burning is at a cost. This our waste that we are dumping in this drainage system is at a cost. So we need to have a system that really works, that will help everybody, and will have an environmental system in which it is managed properly, in which individuals are involved, different stakeholders are involved, government is involved. All hands are on deck to make sure that we have a better environment. Because the reality we have now, it's not good enough and we have to make changes. Can you hear me? Yeah, thank you. I just want to confirm that you're following me. So there are a lot of challenges. Some of the common challenge that we have, or the challenges that we have, is limited resources. We are not prepared enough. What's our state of preparedness? Are we prepared for rain? Are we prepared for heat? So we need to be prepared. Environment, we need an environment that we have trees that are planted, prepared for the heat, prepared for the situation in the environment. Before rain, are we prepared that our drainage system is okay enough? Are we prepared that there's a flow of water? So these are the things that we really need to look at. Do we have good communication in the public? These are the common challenges. There has to be a clear communication with the public, effective recovery when we have these issues, how can we recover from it? So we have to be in a constant state of preparedness. We need to understand what we are facing. When are we likely to face this thing? There needs to be a forecast. Who are those that will be affected with heavy rain? Who are those that will be affected with heat? What can we do? Where are these issues coming to? What can we do to solve all these challenges? These are areas that we really need to look at. Now, in terms of the sustainability, we need an environment that is sustainable. So we need an ecosystem, a single ecosystem that is sustainable. As we know that geography is the science of our world. And we need to look at a situation whereby the social system, the environmental system, and the economic system are all jointed together. So we need to consider all these things. As environment as it is, how is our water? How is the biodiversity in the environment? How is the forest? Hope there are no deforestation, whereby there are places that we need to get enough carbon, but the trees are being cut. We need to look at all these things. We need to be prepared for situations that environment can give us. We need to really manage it. We need to manage it enough. We need a situation whereby there are enough education to to teach people what this environment is all about. How can we do it? How can we work through these environmental changes to get a better system in this environment? So these are some of those things that we can look at. The infrastructure system. Can we have an infrastructure that is prepared for every rain, for changes in the weather, including wind? Are we prepared for all these things? So these are some of the areas that we really need to look at. So I would like to also look at the geographical view to these issues, geographic approach to these issues. So we need to understand all these issues. We need to plan, we need to act. There are a lot of collaboration that can be done. It could be with different NGOs that has to do with environment, with the government. A lot of collaborations can be done to make sure that people understand what it has to do with the environment, and they understand how they can manage changes in the environment, and how they can plan and make sure that we get a good system. There's a way of thinking that everyone can have through education, proper education, training, education to understand what this environment is all about, to be able to know how to solve these problems. So this morning, we are not just teaching us, telling us what these things are. We also want to look at the geographic approach to these things. We also want to look at GIS as a solution to this environmental management. So that's what we'll be talking about. That's the area I want to let us to look at genuinely this morning. So we have to be prepared in terms of managing this environment. This is a geographic approach. Regulations in terms of land, our air, our water. These are systems, very important. What is happening to the air, what is happening to the land and the water, which can actually affect us negatively or positively. So these are, even in recreation, we have to look at all these things. So we need to identify the problems. So how can we solve these problems? Identifying the problems, and GIS, depending on the kind of problem we have in terms of environmental problem, we can use GIS to solve this problem. We could actually collect data, let's say data of those that are affected by flooding in a particular place, in a particular community. We need to collect this data, we need to manage this data well. We might need to visualize this data using some of our system like ArcGIS dashboard to be able to see what this data is all about. We need to monitor data. We need to analyze this system in terms of the environment. We might need to share the information we have, the data we have, planning, design, engagement, support. These are different areas that we can look at using the GIS system. Using the problems, the needs of the environment, and using the GIS system to solve these needs or challenges or problems in the environment. And three areas we need to understand, we need to plan, and we need to act. So firstly, we'll talk about understanding this situation. So for understanding, to understand, we need to have a visualization of this data that has been collected. It could be for flooding, it could be in terms of the forest, it could be in terms of the climate change. We need to understand this data by visualizing at a go. We need to manage this data well. We need to We need to look at those that will go out on field, mobilize those that will go out on field to even collect this data, monitor the changes that is happening, the patterns and everything, analyze. So these are the examples I've mentioned concerning understanding, setting the foundation, surveys. We can see surveys, we can see modeling. All these are various areas that we can actually understand in terms of our environment. We need to plan. If you understand or if you understood the situation of the environment, then we need to plan. When we plan, we need to engage different stakeholders. We need to collaborate. We need to have a proper design system. So these are some areas in terms of planning, modeling. So in terms of our green environment, we can plan for that. So environmental justice, these are also this is also an area that we can also look at, which we have the Living Atlas has provided a lot of this information. Resiliency, climate adaptation, these are some of the planning that we can do. So not just planning, like I said, the third aspect is to act. We need to engage, we need to collaborate, we need to share the information we have. So this is very important that we act after understanding the situation. If we plant, then we need to act on the available information we have. Yes, it's very important in the environment conservation, very important. Environmental analysis, park infrastructure management, these are very important areas that we really need to look at. So modeling, deep learning in this environmental system, these are very important areas. So before the next presenter will come in, we need to look at these solutions. So we are actually bringing GIS solutions to this environmental management system, bringing GIS solutions to this system, understanding the common needs, drive implementation of ArcGIS, promote development patterns, not just any pattern, but a modern pattern system, to collaborate with community. These are very needed for a system, a sustainable system for environmental management. Thank you for this short presentation. So I would like to hand over to Inyoluwa Ojumu. That's our GIS technical specialist and our training manager. So you'll be taking us on the demonstration for this morning. Inyoluwa, can you hear me?
Yeah, thank you very, very much.
So it is morning.
Right? It's afternoon.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Inyoluwa Ojumu, and I'm very happy to be on the platform today to share my knowledge with you on the use of ArcGIS for solving environmental issues. Also, I would like to appreciate Olumide Ogunbemi for the wonderful presentation. You've opened our eyes to see what we need to do to be able to solve all these problems. So, please can we mute our mic? All right, thank you. All right, as Olumide has explained about the GIS approach, which is whenever you have a GIS problem to solve, the first thing for you to do is for you to ask questions. And this might entail you gathering different people from different organizations, probably even interdepartment sitting down to be able to talk more about the problem and looking for a way of solving the problem. The second thing is for you to acquire the data sets. Which kind of data set are we going to be needing to solve those problems? The third one is to examine, then analyze, and then act based on those analysis that you have done so that the problems can be solved. Also, apart from the GIS approach, another thing is for you to understand the methodology that you are going to use to solve the problem. Understanding the methodology is very, very important and cannot be overemphasized, because different problems have different approaches of solving them. Then, from understanding the methodology, we talked about data also. For us to be able to solve problems, we must have data sets. Then this data set can be in form of, like we know, vector, rasters, and probably tabular type of data set. Now, how do we get those data sets? In this demonstration, I'll be showing you different data collection approaches. Also, we look at the use of the ArcGIS system for data visualization, and also ArcGIS Pro for solving some of our environmental problems. And I know you will derive value for this. Can I share my screen, please? Are you there? All right. Can you guys see my screen? All right, thank you very much. So, like you know that we at Sambos, we are the sole distributor for the S3 ArcGIS software. And for this demonstration, we are going to be using our ArcGIS Pro and our ArcGIS Online to be able to solve this environmental challenge. From what you are seeing on my screen is the ArcGIS Online, and this is the portal. This is how it looks like. This is our own organization account, and on this tab you have different applications that you can use to be able to make your work easier. Apart from this application, one way of actually getting data is for you to go to some portals. An example is the Sambos Open Data. So in case you are looking for different types of data sets for your project and you don't know where to get them, please, I would implore you to first of all go to our Open Data Hub and search for any type of data that you are looking for. So just go to the hub. You can sign up and then begin to explore and search for those data sets. All right. Apart from that, we have some applications on ArcGIS Online that can help you to actually configure some field mapping applications. One is the field maps. We have the Survey 123 and the quick capture. But for the purpose of this training, we'll be looking at using the Survey 123 for solving environmental challenge. We already have a survey that we've created, and the survey has been populated. Before I move on, also I want you to know that using Survey 123, is divided into two ways. You have the web designer, which is in form of drag and drop, and we have the XLS part, which is used for advanced configuration. With the ArcGIS Survey 123 Connect, you can be able to make advanced formatting, and you can be able to ask questions and put logic in some of your questions. All right. So this is an example of the survey that that we created using ArcGIS Survey 123, the web designer, which is in form of the drag and drop. So this survey was actually configured for land use for landfill in Igado in Lagos State. So we actually wanted to understand how this landfill affects people within that particular area. So we designed a survey for that purpose, and the survey has some information. Like you can see, we have the H question, the employment, and also using this web designer, you can put a little bit of logic in this question. For example, if you say I am employed, so this survey is actually going to show you what type of employment you are. Let me show you. So I want to show you this survey, how it looks like. All right, so like I was saying, it has a little bit of logic. If you say which kind of, all right. So if you say you are employed, it's going to ask you which type of industry do you work. If you are unemployed, it's not going to show you that question. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. So with the ArcGIS, Survey 123 using the web designer, you can be able to configure your form so that it can be able to ask those questions that you are trying to ask. So this is just an example using different questions that you have decided to ask. Then, like I said, you can, this web designer is built in a form that you can drag and drop it. Take, for instance, if you want to ask a date question, what you just have to do is to drag this particular date into your question, and you can configure it to whatever question that you want to ask. So just like this. Then you can also check for those attributes that you want to and those validation that you want for that particular question. So this is just by the way. Apart from using Survey 123 to actually generate questions, on the back end you can actually see those submissions, and you can see how the response are made. You can see in form of charts for you to be able to actually see the trends and to understand the answers that were being provided by your respondent. So you can see a form of analysis at the back end that you can use. You can filter those information so that you can be able to get the real information that is being submitted. Also, you can also print different questions. So after this survey was designed and our field workers went to the field, what we did was to actually create a form of dashboard so that we can understand the data set that's inside this database very well. So that also we can actually also present it to the stakeholders. They can understand the trend of things. So I want to show you the dashboard that was built regarding that. You can see some of those questions about 402 respondents. And you can see on the map, you can see where those where those responses were taken. This is the Igando landfill. I don't know if some of us are familiar with landfill in Igando, and you know it's actually constituting environmental challenge around those areas. You can see this on this map. You can see the burning around this area. So this is the first side, and here is the second side of the landfill. So you can see where those data sets are coming from. You can see out of the 402, 143 has breathing disorder, and also 225 saying that they are likely to move out of the area. You can see the charts of the breathing disorder. So those people that experience breathing disorder, you can see that we have the highest percentage as those ones that experience frequent breathing disorder. You can also see from this chart that out of the 402 respondents, we have highest percentage as being employed. And also we can see the age distribution from here. Apart from using the ArcGIS dashboard for visualization, one thing that the ArcGIS system helps us to do is actually help us to synchronize our data set from our ArcGIS Online, which is the portal, on your ArcGIS Pro, which is the desktop application. You can actually call those data sets and also start analyzing those data sets. So we can see from here, these are the points that we have, and we can see we use those data sets that are gotten to actually analyze the water quality. So from here, we will see that the water quality was grouped into 1 to 5, 1 representing the lowest. Was grouped into from 1 to 5. 5 actually representing those people with bad water quality, and 1 saying that they have good. So you can see this is the landfill area here. You can see those people around this area, they have bad water around this area. You can see this is the landfill. People around this area have bad water around this. So we can see from this map that the farther those people from the landfill, the better the water point, the water quality. So what we're actually seeing is that we can use GIS to actually analyze data sets, collect data sets, and use it to analyze them. Apart from doing that, what we also did was to now say where is the right place for us to now site a better landfill, since people here are complaining that the landfill is constituting an environmental challenge to them. So what we actually did is to sit down, then see what we can do about this. The first thing, like I said, is to actually ask questions. So from asking questions, you'll be able to know the type of data set that you'll be using for your workflow. In this regard, different layers were used for this project. So we used the road, how close will the landfill be from the road, the lineament, because lineament actually affects the movement of water from one place to another, and also the movement of probably chemicals and so on. We use the rivers layer, we use the soil, we use the geology. Also, we use the land use land cover, and lastly, we use the airports. Let me turn this on the layer so that we can see them one after the other. Right. So this is the extent of Lagos itself, and you can see some of this layer on the map. Don't forget that when I started my presentation, I made mention of understanding the approach that you are going to actually use to solve the problem after sitting down and understanding the concept. So the approach is that for this project, the approach was to gather the data set. Then what we do was to make a form of reclass, because we want all the data set to actually be in the same order. So we have to reclass them based on how those particular layers are important, the subcategories, how they are important for the project. So we can see from lineament density, we reclassified, the airport we reclassified. Let me turn this off and turn this on. So we reclassified them, and after reclassifying, what we did was to turn some of those layers to vector, so that, from vector to raster, so that the system can actually be used to process the data and the data sets. So for this particular project, we used a multi-criteria decision analysis workflow, which is the AHP, so that we can be able to actually put all this layer into the order of importance. So there are different methodologies that are used for actually making decisions. We have the fuzzy logic, we have AHP, and so on. So for this particular project, what we did was to use AHP, analytical hierarchical process, and we can find those tools that the tools under the spatial analyst tool. Yeah. All right. So this is the sorry. Please inform me. All right. So this is the final map of the project. We actually see that in order of the suitability, we have this particular color, this green, as the most suitable area for the project. And we can see those places that are not suitable, they are those areas that fall within the water region in Lagos State. So we can see the output here. This place is actually close to Ogun State. This area shares boundary between Lagos and Ogun. All right. So also it is imperative to know that with ArcGIS Pro, you can be able to search for data sets. If you're on your ArcGIS Pro, if you go to the Portal tab, you have the opportunity of searching data sets. Probably even you can search for authoritative data sets from the Living Atlas on the H3 platform. You can search for data sets on your Living Atlas. You can search for data sets that are available on ArcGIS Online. People have shared some data sets and made it public so that other people can be able to use for their projects. On the ArcGIS Online, on the portal, you can actually search for different data sets. Instead of going from one ministry to the other, or from one parastatal to the other, trying to check for data sets, you can actually call those data sets on your ArcGIS portal. So let me show you an example from here. Can you guys see my screen, please? So I'm trying to search for the population data for Nigeria. So by searching on the ArcGIS Online, is going to pull out different data set that has been shared and has been made publicly available by different people. But one thing that is very important for you to do is to check where those data sets are coming from. Some organizations have probably, like the BRIC3, Sambos Geospatial, and other organizations have made some data sets available, and from you want to actually check where those data sets are coming from so that you can be able to understand the authenticity of the data. So take for example, you cannot use probably a data that is just coming from a random person. You might not want to use it as an authoritative data set. So one thing that is good for you to do is for you to check the source of those data. So for example, this Nigeria local government, sorry, I was looking for population data set. Okay, so you can see some of them. So like this is coming from grade 3. You can know that you can trust this data set, but just going on ArcGIS Online and just adding any type of layer for your work, it might cause you harm. So what I'm just imploring us to do is to always check for the source of those data sets before we use them for our project. Okay, so the first method that I used for designing survey was using this web designer. Like I said, we have the Survey 123 Connect that we can also use to actually design our surveys. So if you use the Survey 123 Connect, you actually have to code your questions on an XLS form. You have to code your questions on an XLS form, and this will require you to be able to have an understanding of how an XLS form works. It's in form of an Excel sheet. So for people that are familiar using the Kobo toolbox and using other open source XLS form data collection application, using the Survey 123 Connect will not be a problem for you. All right. Are you saying something, please?
Please, can we mute ourselves, please?
All right. So the last thing I want to talk about is apart from the ArcGIS Online, we have the ArcGIS Living Atlas of the World, where we can pull out authoritative data set from S3. So when you are using the ArcGIS Living Atlas, you are very sure that this data set is authoritative because this data set is coming from S3 directly. So you can trust the data set that are coming from, sorry. The network is actually affecting this. So like I was saying, using the ArcGIS Living Atlas, you are sure of the authenticity of the data set. So using your ArcGIS tool, you can call data set from your ArcGIS Online. You can call data set from your Living Atlas. And also, you can also call data set even on your ArcGIS Online. If you belong to a particular group on your ArcGIS Online, because data that are shared within a group remains in the group. If you are in a particular group, you can be able to access data sets that belong to the group that you have within a particular organization. So with this, I know we have questions about the methodology and everything that was used for different projects or this project. I want Moniluwa to take over from here. So Moni, over to you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Isaac, and thank you also, Mr. Olumide, for taking us through how we can use GIS as solutions for environmental management. I hope we all learned a lot and also enjoyed ourselves while we were learning. So this is time for another question. Sorry. But before we go on to questions, we have another poll that would like us to submit our views. So I'll be making the poll live now. Okay, let's put in our thoughts, our own answers to the poll. What do you think are the main challenges in implementing GIS for effective environmental management? Lack of skilled personnel, insufficient data, high cost of technology, lack of awareness, integration, and compatibility issues with existing systems. So, okay. So while we answer that, it's time for questions. Do you have any questions? Do you have any questions? You can either indicate by raising your hand, and then you would unmute yourself to speak out, or you can also type it in the chat box for us to know your questions. So do we have any questions? I know we are all very intelligent individuals here, but we have our trainer, HR trainer here, our teachers here today, so we can ask them. Okay, we have a question from Mr. Malaika. Mr. Malaika, you can unmute yourself and see your question.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much to the organizers of this webinar. It's thought-provoking. I'm just trying to ask. I know for a few of us that are what do you call it now, in the field, as it were. One of the challenges we're having, or personally I'm having, is how we can leverage on the fact that, okay, for some of us, we don't have access to the ArcGIS Pro, which is the online platform. I'm currently using ArcGIS, which is the desktop version, and also I'm just trying to ask, is there a way Sambos Geospatial can have what do you call it now? Can we pay some form of subscription from them directly, or would have to go through Esri or so? And that's my question.
Thank you, Mr. Malakai. I would like one of us, Mr. Benedict, to please answer the question.
Please, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you loud and clear. Yes.
Yes. Okay. So if I get a question right, you are asking if you currently use the ArcGIS online and you'll be liking to switch to the ArcGIS Pro, which is the desktop version of the GIS software, right? And you are thinking of how Sambos could support you in actually having, like, is that the question?
What I was saying is, I'm asking, is there a way we can leverage on?
Malaka, are you there, please?
Yes, I am. I'm talking about leveraging on payments in terms of having a licensed application, as it were. Is there a way we can leverage on Sambos, or do we have to go to Esri directly?
Yeah, so you don't have to go to Esri directly, so you can contact us when you want a subscription-based software. We'll definitely provide that to you. So another thing I would like you to also know is that once you go to Esri, your request will be forwarded back to us. So you can actually reach us directly for any inquiry about the software, be it subscription-based or be it a perpetual license. In that case, either for research or for your organization, or for maybe an institution, which is school. So you can reach us directly for that.
All right, thank you very much. I think I'll do just that. Yeah, but it's actually personal, right? It's personal, not enterprise or for a school. It's just my personal thing, and I just want to leverage on the licensed application for now. All right, I'll try and reach out. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll reach out.
Okay, yeah. So just to throw my light on that, on the personal, right? So you can reach out. There's a subscription for research students, and for people who actually use it for personal use, who use it for research. So there's a subscription for that also. It's actually an annual subscription. Definitely, you can reach out to us. And also, you can also leverage the Africa Geoportal. It gives out a free licenses for people who want to use, but you are limited to just the ArcGIS online, which you can probably do some basic mapping on it too.
So yes, you can reach out to us.
All right, sure. Thank
continue
you.
conversation.
All right. Thank you very
thank
much.
you very much. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Benedict. So do we have any other person? Any other question about the survey 1, 2, 3 about the dashboard? Any questions? Okay, since we have no questions. Okay, so if we have no questions, we thank you once again for joining our webinar. Concerning the data that was spoken about our Sandbox org, the link has been placed in the chat box if you want to access some data. And also we have trainings that Esri carries out, that are MOOC trainings, or we also have generic trainings that we do at Sandbox, depending on what you want to learn, things you want to learn, apps or processes, tools, analysis. You can reach out to us at Sandbox. We carry out trainings, and also Esri also carry out some MOOC trainings, some free trainings that you can also participate in. So we want to thank you once again for joining our webinar. Since we have no questions, we always have this type of webinars quarterly, and would be sending you more invites about our webinars. Also, the recording of those webinars will be sent to all those that registered for the webinar. So thank you once again, everyone. Let's have a fruitful day. Okay, the webinar has come to an end. Like we said, we'll be sending the recording to all those that are registered for the webinar. The webinar is over. Also, if you need to reach out to any of our staffs concerning the sales of license, we have an email here that we are put in the chat box that you can reach out to. So thank you everyone for joining this webinar once again. Thank you.